Welcome to Shazza's Laughter Hour here at Radio Northern Beaches, 88.7, 90.3 FM, or you can listen live stream through the website rnb.org.au or through the radio app TuneIn Radio. So if you are already listening, you've done that, so I don't even need to mention it, do I? Today's episode, wow, I have a very special guest. He's a comedian based in Sydney, Australia, although he looks very international. He looks swarthy today. He hasn't shaved, so he looks like he's a pirate or something very exciting. And he's also a graduate with a law degree, very smart man. It's none other than the comedian Andrew Paskin.
Hello, Shazza.
And welcome to Shazza's Laughter Hour.
You get what's on the tin, don't you, with Shazza's Laughter Hour?
You know what you're in
Shazza
for.
And you're getting laughter.
Yes, and both are very good for your health, aren't they? And also, I'd like to point out to the listeners that when I first met Andrew, his name was something else. It was a very flashy comedic name, wasn't it?
My stage name was Lester Diamond.
Lester Diamond, wow.
When I was a criminal lawyer, I didn't want criminals to see me up there on stage. So I had a stage name, and everyone still calls me that to this day. So.
It's hard to forget a name like Lester Diamond, isn't it?
Well, I borrowed it from the movie Casino,
the
Martin Scorsese film. It's a character in that.
Yeah. There was an actual character called Lester Diamond.
James Woods' character, this slimy pimp.
Yeah.
And I thought that would be an apt name for me.
I remember a comedian from the United States called Barry Diamond. Did you ever see him?
I think you mentioned him to me, actually.
Yeah.
I never saw him.
I could ask you if you were related. Of course, that was a redundant question because you clearly weren't. But he used to do a lot of voices. His act was like 3 different character voices and he was very funny.
I do one voice.
Yeah? Is that just your voice?
Monotone.
Monotone?
Yeah, hard to hear.
Yeah. Speak up now, of course. We want the listeners to hear everything.
Yeah. No, Barry Diamond, no relation?
No relation.
I wish.
Yeah. Well, he's had a very spectacular career in the United States. I think he was on Seinfeld and back in the day, and also he has a lot of Las Vegas residencies, so he's working all the time. We can only hope for that one day. Now tell me, Andrew, did you grow up in Sydney or have you moved to Sydney?
No, I grew up in a place called Toronto in Lake Macquarie, which is in Newcastle, half hour out of Newcastle.
Okay, that sounds like a nice area.
A suburban, bit rough in parts.
Oh, okay. Was it actually on a lake?
Yeah. It's close to the lake, my joint, but we had like a really bad school there. Sort of like it was ranked recently like at the bottom of all the schools.
Oh, okay. What in Australia or just that area?
I think in the state, yeah.
Oh,
so,
okay.
But when I was there, it was all okay. Someone burnt it down in '95, so we got like a couple of weeks off for that. We were pretty happy about that.
The whole school or just part of it?
Former student burnt half the school down, so half of it was still usable, and the other half was demountables.
Oh dear.
One time, it was in year 7, 92 I was in year 7, and come to the assembly in the morning and someone had written the principal's name, Mr. Coughlin, in like 2-foot high red paint. Coughlin has Addis. They meant to write AIDS.
Oh dear.
But they couldn't spell AIDS. And even he was laughing about it.
Yeah.
So that's the sort of people I was dealing with.
That was the calibre of students.
Yeah.
So you've actually done extremely well, haven't you?
A few smart people from my school, but also I went to school with Willie Mason, the footballer.
Okay.
He's our most famous grad.
Did you actually know him?
Yeah, I grew up with him. Yeah. Good bloke.
Good bloke.
Mm-hmm.
And was he always involved with football when you were growing up?
Yeah, he used to play for the Hunter Mariners junior squad, and I used to bail him up and ask him all questions about the Mariners. And bore him to tears because I'm a football fanatic.
So which code is that?
Rugby League. Yeah.
You do like league rather than the others?
I'm so much of a fanatic, I have my own podcast, the highly popular Rugby League Digest. Me and Michael Adams host that, and it's getting some crazy heat in the rugby league community.
Really? Wow.
No, not really. We've got about 5,500 subscribers.
Well, that's excellent. So listeners, keep your ears and your eyes out for, what was it again?
The Rugby League Digest. So
Rugby League Digest.
If you like history of rugby league and you like the current stuff, we have a mix.
Do you have anything to do with the Sea Eagles, seeing this is Radio Northern Beaches? Is that a team you're interested in at all?
I have a lot to do with hating them.
Yeah.
I'm not fond of the Sea Eagles.
Yeah.
I know a few guys from out on the northern beaches. Shout out to Brian Adams. He's a private investigator out there, legend bloke.
Okay, good.
So he's a big Manly fan.
Yeah, that's nice. And do you actually interview footballers?
We interview journos and ex-footballers. Like we interviewed like a team of the century hooker Noel Kelly and former St George Premiership winner Kevin Ryan, who's a barrister. So we interviewed those two guys, and that was cool.
That's interesting. A footballer and a barrister.
Yeah.
Wow.
Very tough man too.
Yeah, that would require a lot of mental and physical fitness.
It would, yeah.
To do both. Maybe not at the same time.
I haven't got either of those at the moment. But
Now tell me, Andrew, you actually have your law degree now, but you are not practicing law at the moment, are you?
No, I only did law for a little bit, practice for a little bit. It wasn't for me. The criminal law is a bit of a stressful job, and I don't handle stress very well.
Yeah.
I'm more of a stay-at-home dad without kids. That's my dream.
I've just interviewed Steve Philp and Brett Nichols previously for Shazza's Laughter Hour, and they are living your dream.
Steve Philp's the most positive guy getting around. I love Steve Philp.
I love Steve Philp too. He's wonderful. I think you just need to get yourself married, get yourself some little kids. Then you can do what they do. They work during the day as professional dads, and at night they're professionally funny.
That's a dream setup, isn't it?
Well, you just keep your eye on that. So ladies, anyone listening who would like to, he may have a special lady in his life already, but...
I'm taking applications for mistress at the moment,
So if you'd like to be a mistress, but preferably working your way up to being a wife and a mother, because I know you have, is it a nephew? I've got
a beautiful little nephew called Atticus.
Atticus?
Yeah.
Wasn't Atticus Finch a famous character in...
To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yes, and he was a lawyer, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So we're on the law subject.
He's known as Atty.
That's very sweet.
So I've just changed my whole opinion on kids, really. I used to not care for them, but this one's really, really cute.
Yeah. And does he live nearby?
Chippendale.
Chippendale's not too far. Let's just hop over the bridge.
He lives with his mum and dad. He hasn't got his own place yet.
No, give him 18 years and then you can party on with him. He's only 2, so you're enjoying being an uncle.
Yeah, it's good fun. I mean, I can see why I used to sort of scoff when they say parenting's the hardest job, but I think it really is because it's so full on.
Yeah.
So I go there for an hour and then I get to leave.
Yeah, it's exhausting. I know I was talking about this with Steve and Brett, that it's just there's so much to do all the time. And there's not really downtime. You don't really get those moments that you used to when you were single without parents, without being, a parent, that you can just go for a surf.
Yeah.
Or just, anticipate a really bad hangover the next day. You have to always be on point.
Yeah, you get the 3-hour nap or whatever, but you have to stay in your own house and watch Netflix or something. You can't be just going, I'm going to pop over the shops by myself.
That's not really allowed.
You've got to strap him into the $6,000 pram that looks like a 4-wheel drive,
Yeah, the child services don't like you to leave the children at home on their own and just go out and do your own thing. Presumably you can do as much of that as you want before you have children. That's probably the best option. So do you like going surfing, or do you play football yourself?
I'm not much of a beach guy because I've got this white skin.
Yes.
It turns pink quite
yes,
quickly.
So does mine.
I play touch football.
Yeah.
I love that. I haven't been doing it as much as I want. Been getting fat again after Christmas.
Yeah.
12 kilos.
Oh gosh, yeah. I know that. I'm an emotional eater.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, I eat anyway, but if it's an emotional situation, that's the Tim Tams, the first thing I reach for.
Yeah, I go to the gym. I go to Anytime Fitness. It's where you can exercise any time of the night and meet psychos. So I'm the guy there at 2 a.m, pumping iron.
Yeah. So you're meeting yourself, really?
Yeah, basically. It's looking in the mirror. But,
that's nice.
I tend to like doing things against the grain. So not working during the day, working at night if possible, and then exercising when people aren't around. And
Yeah.
I don't like hassle, Sharon. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. You want it to run smoothly. Make life as smooth running and comfortable as possible for you. And Running? Do you do that at the gym?
No, not really. I should be doing that.
Or is it just...
I've always hated running.
Me too.
People go to get this runner's high. I'm like, if that was a drug dealer, you'd punch him in the face for that high. It's like, what is good about running? Your knees hurt.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. Well, I just think on hard surfaces you do end up ruining your ankles, don't you?
Well, my ex-girlfriend was an avid runner.
Yeah.
And she used to be like, I just love it. It just centers me. I feel great after a run. I'm like, you feel great after a run? I feel great after not running.
And I know which one I'd rather be doing, not running. Well, that's good. What about, have you ever tried anything like yoga or Tai Chi?
I did do yoga once or twice. My last job was a corporate job, and they had like corporate yoga, and they got this hippie chick to come in and did it.
Yeah.
It's so bloody hard. It was beginner's yoga, and I was like pouring sweat. I mean, I do that normally anyway.
Yeah.
But, I couldn't believe how hard it was. It does feel good, yoga. It just afterwards you feel very stretched and relaxed and everything.
Yes, yeah.
But I don't know. It's a bit weird. A bit of a cult.
It just depends how it's approached. I mean, I run laughter yoga workshops, which I just call laughter workshops, and I go into businesses, and it's just laughter and deep breathing, and then I do a nice guided relaxation. So it's not really...
Definitely helps.
It does help to lift your spirits, I think.
It's just something it's a bit foreign to me. Like I had another flatmate, and she was a hippie sort of girl, lovely girl, and she went from corporate raider in this high-powered corporate position to yoga teacher, going over to Ubud in Indonesia and doing not-for-profits, just total flip on her life.
Wow.
But everything wrong with you, her answer is yoga. I've got a headache, yoga. I've got a torn hamstring, yoga. I'm a quadriplegic, yoga.
I'm constipated.
Yeah,
do some yoga.
It's like, it doesn't fix everything.
No. But it does help you to stretch out. And do you find just slowing down sometimes? Can you focus on things like that? Can you stop that mind chatter?
I can now. I'm medicated with antidepressants.
Oh, well, that's...
I've been on antidepressants for a few months now. And
that helps?
I think it's where the weight gains come as well. But it's like, my mind is slow now. Where I used to race constantly.
Yeah.
Major problem.
Yeah, that's what I have, which I tend to find I can't stop thinking, and getting to sleep is the time when I think the hardest.
You should get on the Lexapros.
Okay, I'll get a list of what you're on.
I think the generic term is crazy pills.
Yeah, I'm sure that would help. Couldn't hurt. Or I'll just go back to eating more chocolate biscuits late at night and watching funny shows.
I'm still doing that.
Yeah. That's
just my mind's calmer.
That's great. Well, I'm glad you're calmer. Does that affect your stand-up ability or
I was
the
worried
way
about
you
that,
write?
actually. I was worried about that, but I'm getting better now because I'm not panicking off stage. I'm less nervous on stage. I used to be quite nervous on stage.
Do you have a routine that you use to calm your nerves, or like breathing exercises or voice exercises before you go on to calm yourself down before you get up?
I don't really get nervous anymore.
Oh, that's good.
I do deep breaths because I've had a few therapists or whatever that put me on that. So if I'm starting to get a bit anxious or something, I do deep breathing.
Yeah.
One of them gave me this app, this ABC app or something, and it's got like a breathing course on there or something. So I did that once. That was pretty helpful.
Yeah.
My mate, comedian Tom Orr, is into all this mumbo jumbo, and he's an avid breather.
Is he?
Yeah.
Does he have a breathing technique, or does he just breathe?
Deep and
loud. So he clears his lungs out.
Yeah.
And lets everyone know he's doing it at the time.
But as I said, like all these people, like my old flatmate, my mates that are into all this new age sort of stuff, organic food and all the rest of it, they always look the sickest out of everyone. But they look like they just woke up from an anaesthetic all the time. It's like you're spending $400 on potions, you get acupuncture 6 times a week. Like, why do you look like death?
You think they would look sparkling and like those very heavily airbrushed people in magazines.
Yeah, that's what you think. You'd have a bit of brightness to your appearance.
But would they look worse if they weren't doing that? Do you think that's the $64 million question?
I don't think it's possible with some of these people. But.
Yeah. I always find it funny when people are vegetarians or vegans and they smoke a lot of pot. I think, doesn't one cancel the other out? Like, what's the point?
I think you'll find the majority of vegetarians are vegans, so a lot of fun.
And then there's all the conspiracy theories that they come up with at the same time.
Oh, we're in comedy, we know about them.
Yes, we have a lot of that going on. So, Andrew, tell me, you've been doing stand-up for how many years now? Did you have a time?
Yeah, I think
when
I
you first started?
I think I did the first open mic ever in about 2011 or something like that, somewhere around there. But I mean, I had a couple of years off here and there, and you know, I've only just got serious about it the last couple of years. Yeah.
What made you decide to pursue it more as a career than just as a fun thing you were doing that you were interested in?
I love it. I think it's magic. All these self-help guys on Instagram, Gary Vee and all those sort of guys, I always say, you know, you should be doing what you love doing. And this is what I love doing. I've always loved stand-up, loved watching it as a fan.
Yeah.
And you get to create it yourself from nothing, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
And it's like there's a sense of achievement because it takes so long to craft a joke and then try it out and then refine it and then get it going well. You know, months and months and months sometimes. So I love that about it. But the bottom line is you're making people happy. When you're a lawyer, you're dealing with people on the worst day of their life. You're actually giving people some relief from their life with comedy. I think that's really, really cool.
Yeah, it's a nice way of looking at it too. Because if you're a sensitive person, or if you're prone to any kind of mood swings, or you're empathetic and you pick up other people's emotions, I imagine practicing criminal law would have been quite exhausting emotionally at times.
It is. I mean, there is some good parts to criminal law, like you help kids get off drugs and get into rehab and that sort of stuff a lot of times, and get them a second chance when they're stuffed up. That's the good part. Then you're dealing with like proper organised crime figures and that sort of thing. That's not the good part. But if you take on their problems, it does exhaust you. You end up being physically exhausted as well as mentally.
That's right. So you have to find ways to cope with that. Did you find a lot of the people that you knew professionally before with the law, were they heavy drinkers or not necessarily?
Yeah, I was a gigantic drinker.
Yeah,
it's a real tough guy's specialty. The criminal law. It's like I'm too soft. I'm a soft guy.
Yeah.
So. People that love to fight, you know, just want to have an argument all the time. That's the sort of people that suit criminal law.
Yeah.
People that have no fear. So that a lot of people smoke cigarettes, like in comedy. A lot of people drink a lot in criminal law. Was
it anything like the TV show Rake?
Well, I used to work with him. He was a barrister I used to work with.
Yeah.
Charles Waterstreet, good bloke, real funny guy.
Yeah.
Mad as a cut snake, in my humble opinion. But so. It's pretty much like Rake, yeah.
Because Rake is just such a brilliant TV show. For any listeners that haven't seen it, it stars an Australian actor called Richard Roxburgh, and he plays a criminal barrister, doesn't he?
Based on Charles Waterstreet, yeah.
Yeah, and he's actually hilarious and does quite a few dodgy deals, but he gets the job done in the end.
Yeah,
he does champion the little guy and the people who have been unfairly treated overall.
Yeah, he's got some obscure ways to approach things.
Yeah. So you had to resort to that. You really did it by the books.
No, I work for a great man called Chris Murphy, who's a real mentor for me and just a legend guy. This is a guy that helps everybody behind the scenes. You know, just so much for anyone that needs a leg up. He's there to give it. And he sort of saw that in me and gave me the leg up. So I was just mates with him beforehand, and then he said, "You have to come work for me." I'm like, "Thanks very much."
Yeah.
So that was one thing disappointing. I had to leave him after all he'd done for me. But I'm not cut out for the law.
No, and I'm sure if they're the kind of friends that they're not just professional friends, they're people you can keep in touch with.
No,
I guess.
the guys are a real positive influence on my life.
I guess they'd be more than happy to come and see you doing stand-up and seeing you do well at it.
Yeah, I haven't had many friends come and see me. My sister's seen me, my parents haven't. I've kept them away, and I've kept a lot of my friends away. That would be the ultimate embarrassment, bombing in front of your friends and family.
Inviting people to come along and it's just not your night.
Every time I invite a girl along too, I don't seem to do as well. It's like it's just that Murphy's Law.
I'd keep it all out of that. You know, get to a stage where you're very, very serious with someone, and then when they come along and they see you bomb, it's like too late. Because you're already invested in each other.
You know, I'm at the stage now where I don't really bomb. It's just good in a decent room.
Yes.
So hopefully it won't be happening.
No, that's it.
But I mean, I like keeping it separate anyway, because we've got a little community there, haven't we? Comedy's like a little community of psychos.
Yeah.
And you can say what you want.
Yep.
Well, these days you probably can't, but like, amongst your crew of people, anything goes. Like the most outrageous stuff can be said, and like you can't have civilians hanging around that. Because they'll try and get you locked up.
Yeah. I have actually seen a lot of comedian buddies over the years dating girls and bringing them along, and the girls are completely bored going from room to room, and I think this is not going to last.
Yeah.
It's not going to end well, and it really does.
Especially if they don't think you're funny.
They don't think you're funny, or they just want you to have a regular job and do the normal things.
Yeah.
They don't want you to be going out 5 nights a week, sitting in your room obsessing over bits of scribble you've got, mumbling to yourself. They don't get it.
Yeah, my room looks like a beautiful mind, like stuff on the wall,
And do you still handwrite, or are you one of these guys that dictates ideas or jokes into his phone?
I do all of the above. I've got a big catalogue of ideas. I started writing ideas down before I was doing comedy. My basis is writing. I taught myself screenplay structure and that sort of stuff, when I was younger. So I'm sort of into that as well. So I used to have a whole bunch of ideas anyway. So I've got a whole big computer file for that. But then I have scraps of paper, which I do for my sets on the night. I save all them. And also I do the dictating sometimes when I'm in the car. Because you get the proper way that you say the joke then.
Yeah. And there's nothing more frustrating than thinking something or saying it out loud, and then you try and write it down and you don't get it quite right, like you'd had before. So it's almost like you get those moments where you can almost say something that's a perfectly formed sentence. You go, "Where's my phone? Quick!" And you've got to quickly get it out.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you know that it's not going to be as good as you hoped.
Well, I have a note in my phone entitled "Genius Ideas." That's the level of confidence I have in my own arrogance.
Well, I think that's someone's got to have confidence in you. If you don't have it in yourself, what are you going to do? And that confidence has gotten you out of a potentially lucrative career. Wasn't quite right for you, and it's propelling you towards a career in show business, really.
I think some people just aren't suited for 9 to 5.
No.
I think most comedians are those people. I watched this documentary on Gary Shandling last night, a HBO one.
I've seen that.
How good is it? Yeah.
It's very good.
So it's just like, there's a guy who had to be a comedian. Like he had mental issues and what have you. And you just had to be a comedian. Otherwise, no good.
Well, you could see from childhood he was doing silly stuff.
Yeah.
And writing down ideas. I think with him, personally, I just think it's a bit of a shame he didn't find a more balanced personal life.
Yeah.
When he had that money, not just sharing it with someone, but he had the ability to have a family and do all that. And if he'd just worked through some of his issues, I guess it's very complex, but obviously he was a perfectionist, and being that successful, sometimes you have to be so driven and focused on one thing only. But it's a shame, even in later life, he didn't go on and have a family or just have that lifelong partner, because he had so much money. He could have just taken a breath and gone, what do I really want to do? And just, I don't know. It's a complex mind, the comedic mind.
It is.
I just think if I, had millions and millions of dollars, I'd be reasonably happy. I'd buy myself some company. If I didn't have the perfect mate, I'd just possibly go and buy it. Use that wonderful money I had for something good. I don't know. Now tell me, Andrew, you have a festival show coming up, don't you?
Yes, I'm doing a show
with the Sydney Comedy Festival.
Sydney Comedy Festival, May the 10th. It's me and another Sydney comedian, Andrew Barnett, who's really, really funny, funnier than me, in fact. At 7 p.m. on May the 10th at the Factory Theatre.
Yeah.
We have the factory floor, which is a very nice room.
Yes.
So anyone wants to take the trip over from the northern beaches, I know you guys love to travel. I like going to Manly because it's got that sort of like, there's so many Brazilians there. It's like got this sort of fun vibe.
It does. And if you walk up and down Manly Beach, there's the volleyball court, beach volleyball courts, and you can just look at all these people from all over the world throwing balls around. And they're all young, and they're staying at backpackers, and they're just having the best time, and you think, good for them. Good for them. Life hasn't worn them down yet.
I look at that and there'd be a tear rolling down my cheek going like, what happened to me?
But you can strip down to your cosy and join in then anytime. You just put some sunscreen on and a hat, some shirts.
I need a full radiation suit.
Yeah. No, I think the sun is very strong, generally speaking. But if you're Brazilian and you're young and you're just there playing ball, you don't care about that.
Is this the Shazza science hour now? The sun is very hot.
I know science and that.
We're starting at the beginning there.
Yeah. Well, I'm surprising myself with my articulate observations of science and the universe and planets and that.
That's what I do now all the time, actually, is just watch documentaries on space.
Space is interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, isn't it what?
Andrew, with your festival show.
Oh, sorry.
Yes. Now, I know there's two Andrews. Is that what it's called, the two Andrews?
It's called Life Choices.
Oh, okay. That's not as corny as the two Andrews.
No, that would have been
You could do that when you're like over 70 and you're
two Ronnies.
You're doing the RSL club circuit or the nursing home circuit. The two Andrews. Hi, everybody.
Well, he's like a real together guy, Andrew, by now.
Yes,
and I'm not together, so it's like a good juxtaposition. So Life Choices is like, he's got a lovely family, beautiful wife and 2 little kids.
Yeah.
I'm a single man. He's hasn't had trouble with alcohol and gambling. I have, that sort of thing. So it's a good little mix. But he's so funny. The guy's a genius joke writer, great performer.
Yeah.
Does all the major rooms, Comedy Store, all this sort of stuff. He writes on the Matty John show and the Professor's Second Year Syndrome, if you're a footy fan.
He is a very hard-working person. So are you both splitting the time or are you on together at any point?
No, half hour each.
Half hour each. And do you go on first and go through your miserable life and then he comes out?
Right, yeah.
Is that the idea?
Yeah.
You're warming the audience up?
Basically, yeah. I said usually we have the funniest guy last on a comedy show, but on this occasion I'll be going first.
Yeah, of course. You've just argued your way out of that one very well. And so that's going to be, do you think you might take that show on the road?
I hope so, yeah.
Yeah.
So we've only got one night booked at the moment, but we'll probably do an encore show. So
An encore show.
140-seater, so we're looking to fill that up.
Yeah. So head on out there, look up the Sydney Comedy Festival, which would be what, sydneycomedyfestival.com.au.
Who knows?
Who knows? It's just somewhat.
I would suggest everybody follow me on social media.
Okay. What are your social medias?
At Andrew Paskin on Twitter and at Andrew Paskin on Instagram.
So there's no excuse for not finding you. I find your name, a lot of people have fangled names, don't they?
Yeah.
On these sort of things, social media.
But for a guy that was called Lester Diamond, I've just gone for the straight real name this time. But
I thought Lester Diamond was a tremendous name, and I couldn't quite work out if it was real or not, but I thought maybe the diamond wasn't.
Who would call their child Lester, for Christ's sake? Yeah, so if you follow me on Instagram, if you're a girl, I'll definitely be DMing you. That's what I do.
You'll be what?
DMing.
Oh, okay, DM.
It's a private message.
Yes.
Just creepily sending those out.
Yeah.
And if you're a guy, I'll talk footy with you.
That's great. Well, you're an all-rounder, really. You can't get better than that.
I like to get a female following. Like, I don't like these comics that have, like, all blokes in the audience, like Jim Jeffries or,
Yeah.
Went to see Andrew Dice Clay at the Enmore.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was when I was a kid, he was really big.
Of course.
But he was like 98% just scumbag guys.
Yeah.
There was an awful vibe in the room.
Yeah. Did you think there could have been a fight breaking out at some point?
It felt like a local court.
Yeah.
I
thought I'd given all this up.
It just had like that vibe to it. So I'd like there to be someone. You don't want to go the other way and have like a ABC comedians audience of like all guys in turtlenecks and little black rectangular glasses either.
Yeah.
But
and beards.
But something in the middle would be nice. Just nice regular people.
That could be your niche market. So do you think a comedian's energy and their material and their stage persona attracts a kind of person?
Definitely.
Their kind of audience.
My favourite comedian is Luke Heggie in Australia.
Yeah.
We had him on the Rugby League podcast, actually, doing the all-time grub team. It was the funniest episode ever. He's so funny. But anyway, he's got the sort of humour I like. That's what I would watch if I was, at home. So I'm attracted to him. Like sort of angry guy tells it how it is, you know.
Yeah.
But I think some people just want, you know, someone that does voices and Smiley or something like that. So
Yeah.
there's something out there for everybody.
There is something out there for everybody, and I think that's the good thing is you can get to choose that. You get to choose who you like, what material you relate to, and the stage persona, and then you can just... I think every comedian finds their audience, or their audience finds them eventually.
Yeah.
You know, someone once said to me years ago, "Hey, Shaz, don't worry about your material, just work out who you are up there." And then the material will come.
Who was that?
It was Hollywood Brett Sheargold.
Oh, right.
Yeah, from years and years ago. I don't know if you ever met Brett.
I've heard a lot of stories about Brett.
Oh, I know a lot of stories about Brett, yes. But he was actually quite smart, surprisingly, because he looked like an Australian Russell Brand. And he looked like he was a mess, but he was actually a very intelligent guy and had a lot of very interesting and quite sensible advice about the business and being a comedian. And that I thought that was a very good one. Find out who you are up there.
Yeah, I think that's the ultimate goal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just to be
It's
real.
To be real, be yourself. Obviously a more entertaining version, but...
More entertaining than this? Are you kidding? I'm entertained by you.
But, you know, even more. And find out how do you relate to an audience, and then the material will come, rather than write loads of material. But, I mean, you can find your own way through that.
Yeah, I've just started getting into that in the last couple of years, getting more real up there. But
Yeah.
if you can be as funny as you are with your friends, how you talk to your friends on stage, you've made it. You've made your voice, I think.
It's a real skill, isn't it? Because people think they might need to behave a certain way or do a certain thing, but that's not being real for them.
Yeah.
And if you're being a character, then you've got to be that character the whole time. As soon as you walk in the venue to when you get in your car and drive home or get the bus home,
Exhausting,
train home. Yeah, so you're either a character or you're real, and generally speaking, people want the real deal, don't they?
Yeah, when I started, I was a one-liner guy, deadpan one-liner.
Yeah.
That's all I could do, really.
Yeah.
Just performing was so foreign to me. I've always been a guy to sit back and watch rather than like, you know, look at me sort of thing. That always felt crass to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, slowly but surely I've evolved into something more like myself, which is great.
Well, you've obviously got to get through a university degree, you have to be able to write a lot of essays, and you have to be able to do a lot of research.
The night before, yeah.
Yeah. But you have that ability to do that, so I guess you have the discipline and the ability to write.
Yeah, writing is a passion of mine.
And what about music, Andrew? What kind of music do you like? Because I think we'll have some music on during our program tonight.
I'm going to have a specific answer for you, because I hate when people say, "Oh, anything that's on the radio."
Yeah.
And when you say, "What's your favourite band?"
Yeah.
I don't know, whatever's on the radio. It's
Yeah,
like,
no.
Okay, how can you not have a favourite band?
Yeah.
I'm a giant Beatles fan.
Yeah.
A giant Oasis fan.
And that was Don't Look Back in Anger by Oasis from their 1996 album What's the Story, Morning Glory. You're listening to Shazza's Laughter Hour here at Radio Northern Beaches. Let's go back to our interview with my very special guest, Andrew Paskin.
60s music, Kinks, that sort of stuff. In Excess.
That was one of my favourite songs of all time, In Excess, singing New Sensation from their 1987 album, Kick.
I like a bit of hip-hop, 90s stuff.
Almost everything.
I've been getting into country music lately. Tammy Wynette and George Jones. Lynn Anderson. Didn't Promise You a Rose Garden.
You could play that on your wedding day.
I think the funniest joke ever would be to go to a wedding and put DIVORCE as the wedding party. That would be funny to me. But.
It would be funny, perhaps not for the couple. Although, what are the statistics now? They're pretty high. But, let's be positive about it.
The band that shaped my life as a teenager was Oasis.
Okay.
I got into the Beatles via them. Seen them live like 6-7 times.
You've seen Oasis live?
Yeah.
Wow.
The Beatles haven't seen live.
No.
Haven't been touring much lately.
No, not lately.
I do a joke on stage about McCartney. He just toured last year. He was charging $600 for a ticket. Like, at that price, I need John to be there. Wheel him out because...
Or wheel something out. Yeah, that was a lot. I mean, is he allowed to play just Beatles music, or does he play his own?
He's got the catalogue of all catalogues. He wrote half the Beatles hits anyway.
Yeah. They weren't sold off to Michael Jackson? I can't remember.
They sold the publishing at one point, but you can still play them. You just got to pay the...
Oh, so he's got to pay a royalty to the estate of Michael Jackson to play his own music.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
It is. It's copyright is
Well, if you're a Beatles
important.
fan, you'll know that he wanted to buy it back at some price, and then Yoko didn't want to pay the money. And then it was like 60 million or something, and now it's like worth $1 billion or something.
Yeah. Well done, Yoko.
I would have been on some primal scream if I was Paul after that.
Yeah, I know in the olden days, musicians and bands would basically write hit songs and they never had any ownership of it. And nowadays, I think it's fabulous that young bands and musicians can write their own music and at home on their computer actually produce a record.
It's such a great time to be...
and own it. And they don't have to own it, give away that copyright and ownership to anyone else.
There's no excuse for not creating in this world we live in now, but still we just have like people posing in bikinis on Instagram, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. No, I'm sure you don't mind that so much, but we want to see beyond the bikini, don't we?
But it just seems like there hasn't been any big... Well, Ed Sheeran's come along, I suppose, but there hasn't been any big bands come along. You know? I think maybe rock and roll's dead with the internet now I think about it.
Who knows? What do you think will be the next big music trend?
It feels like comedy's taken over from rock and roll.
Do you think so?
Yeah, like that's the place where you can be honest. But, but they don't really... the most honest comedians don't generally get on TV that much.
No, they may be slightly censored. What are you a fan of travelling? Have you been
Yeah, I've been
overseas?
to a few places. I used to live in London for a couple of years. Been to a few places in Europe, went to Japan.
Yeah.
That was cool. I'm a big... I never like the word Japanophile because it sounds like pedophile, but I'm a Japanophile. Yeah. I speak a bit of Japanese, so that was really good for me to go over there and experience the big Tokyo city.
It's fabulous, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the country itself. If you haven't been to Japan, it's a mixture of technology, busyness, extreme politeness, strange pornography, heavy drinking, karaoke, beautiful temples, and history. Yeah. It's an interesting... Some of the nicest, most polite people. I remember I flew once from Tokyo, from Narita Airport to Frankfurt on a plane, obviously, and not one person reclined their seat.
Yeah, right.
Everyone was quiet. The children were quiet. They had Hello Kitty pillows, or there was no jostling. It was just incredible. I just couldn't believe it. And most of them went to sleep within like 10 minutes of the plane going off.
Their culture is to sleep and get maximum amount of sleep out of a public transport.
Yeah. Which I think is a remarkable skill to have, because I find it hard to sleep on a plane.
It kind of upset me a little bit when I realised I did some comedy over there with he's now in Sydney now, a comedian called Waka. He's a Japanese comedian, does it in English. He's really funny.
Yeah.
And just sort of went out with him a few times and met a few locals and what have you. But it's a very bureaucratic country where over here it's still quite a meritocracy where you can work your way up. You know, if you're a star at work, you can be the boss or whatever. But over there, you've got your set 40-year career. You're going to be on this much money for 5 years, then you'll go up in seniority, and there's just no way to break the mold of... It kind of made me feel a bit sad for them.
They have a very high educational and scholastic achievement culture drilled into them. And I know that the student has really quite a high suicide rate, because teenagers and students, there's a lot of pressure to get really good grades.
Yeah, horrible.
I remember reading that once thinking, that's such a shame, because the rest of the culture is brilliant, but there's a lot of pressure. I mean, that statistic may have changed. They may have programs now and they're not pushing it. But I had a friend out of high school who did teaching. Then she did English teaching as a second language and lived in Japan for a year. And she said the pressure they have, they're at school really, and then they do compulsory after school clubs.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And on Saturday, all day, it's compulsory sport. So they only really have Sundays off, but that's the day they've got to get all their homework done and their assignments done and music lessons and everything. And it's quite a lot of pressure to be perfect.
Well, it happens here as well. I remember when I did my first degree, business degree in Newcastle, and then people were freaking out, I've got to get into uni or whatever. It's like, then you go to uni and they go, oh, well, you can just have a year off and just apply it to the uni directly and do like open learning or something through tape and getting like, no one tells them that. It's like all this pressure and, anxiety for no reason.
Did you find that taking breaks from studying and going for a walk helped you to focus and when you were actually in the middle of doing all of your studies?
No, I was a mess.
You were just a mess.
Yeah, I just left it to the last minute and then panicked and then rushed it through. It's basically my whole life.
But you still got through.
Yeah.
In the end, so it's not a bad method.
Well,
it's not perhaps a recommended method of study.
For example, my first ever stand-up gig was at Comedy on Edge in Chippendale.
Yeah,
I was
brilliant venue.
Doing the law degree, and I'd been up all night doing an essay, and then went to work that day, and then straight to stand-up. So I had no sleep for 24 hours for my first stand-up gig. So that's the level of organisation that I was running at.
Yeah. And how did you go with that very first one?
The first one went well. The second one went bad.
Oh, okay.
Because of cockiness.
That's it. Yep.
No audience member likes a cocky comedian, unless that's the character, I suppose. But.
Yeah. No, they don't really. You have to, and again, the Andrew Dice Clay reference. If you're going to be that, that's probably the kind of audience you'll attract.
Well, Jay Moore tells a funny story about that on his podcast. He saw Dice at Comedy Store trying to do material outside the character. He says it was brilliant. He was doing this stuff about taking his kids, just going to the park with the kids is a nightmare. You got to get the bikes, you got to strap them onto the car, and you got grease on your thing. You get to the park and the kids are going to play on the swings. That was basically the joke. But then no one's laughing because he's not doing Dice. He looks down at the front pauses for about a beat, looks down at the front row, there's some beautiful Persian girls with their boobs out, and he goes, "You big-titted animals," and then everyone starts cracking up because that's the character, So he's done this beautiful family bit, no laughter, calls these girls animals, and then they're all laughing.
I wonder if he ever wanted to hire himself out as a comedy writer for someone else, and a young person, a young guy, could go out and do all the material he can't really do because the audience won't accept him in that role, and he could just like hire an actor to be trained, and he could just watch that person do all the material that he wanted.
I don't think that'd fly with him. He seems like a very self-centered guy.
Yeah, no, I'm not helping anybody else. Yeah, do you do any accents when you do stand-up?
No, I put in a bit more pizzazz in my voice when I'm up there. But
a bit more pizzazz.
I just do like I sort of do a dumb guy accent.
Okay.
But I don't do any like foreign accents.
No. Some people can pull accents and character voices out of their heads.
I love a good impressionist. I wish I could do impressions, but I can't. But we haven't got any good impressionists coming through. It seems like a dying art.
Well, that might be something we can look into. How do we bring out more impressionists in the Sydney comedy scene? And do you think you'll travel with stand-up overseas? Have you got any ambitions to do that?
I really want to. I want to get good enough to travel Australia.
Yeah.
That'll be fun. And then do England and then do America. That's the long-term dream.
Does that start off with having a festival show that you take around? Is that a good way to get started?
Yeah, well, the Australian system is festival-based, so is England, generally. They've got a club scene and a festival scene, but Australia's all festival. I hate it.
Yeah.
Like, it's... the idea you got to write an hour every year, like Louis C.K. can't even do that. So you got kids who can't even do 5 minutes. They've got an hour every year. It's like it's just insulting the audience to me anyway.
Yeah. But you wanted to deliver a quality show.
So I'm doing half an hour because I've got half an hour of stuff that I think's good.
Good enough.
If I did an hour, it'd be half an hour with half an hour of shit.
Half an hour of padding.
Yeah, and then so I heard someone say this. One of the young kids was saying, all you need is 20 minutes, have a story through line, and then do some crowd work. I'm like, well, that's not an hour. That's 20 minutes. So 40 of those minutes is going to be
you don't know
shifting uncomfortably in your seat.
Yeah, no, they may not get booked for the big corporate gigs if they have that attitude.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a old school stand-up guy. Like, I like the American model where it's honest and it's crafted. Seinfeld, that sort of business.
He's a very hard-working guy.
Yeah,
I've seen Jerry Seinfeld say that he will still go every weekend and do a gig somewhere.
Yeah,
just to keep his standard up.
I love that. It's beautiful.
And I mean, he has a family. He has a lot of things going on. He probably doesn't ever need to get out of bed and work a day in his life ever again. But that's not the point.
That's the love for the art he's got.
Yeah, that's the craft. I saw him live. It maybe have been about 20 years ago, and he walked out and he did a full hour, and it was exactly like you'd seen him on television. Everything, word perfect, the persona, and he was just real.
A good mate of mine, James Smith, he's American-based Aussie comic. He had lunch with him when he came out, Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah.
Him and another guy, Mario Joyner, and he says exactly how he is on. When you see him on stage, he's exactly like that in real life. Like just totally dedicated, funny guy. Pulls out all these scraps of the pad with all the jokes. So he's still writing them out.
Still writing them after all these years. And you think, I wonder if he had a happy childhood. Is that?
Well, I've seen his documentary, and apparently it was fairly idyllic. But I think he might be like, I'm not a professional doctor, but I think he might be a bit Asperger's or something, because he just doesn't seem to have that like connection. Like everything's something to be made fun of, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But apparently it was a happy childhood, but like he didn't hug his parents and that sort of business. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, okay. I didn't know that.
So that explains him a little bit.
But his work ethic is quite amazing.
Yeah, well, he's the one that said he watched some construction workers getting their working really hard at a building site and then stopping for their little lunch in their little bag and everything. Because if they can do that for 8 hours a day, I can write jokes for 8 hours a day.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. It's crossing over from it just being a fun hobby and something you go, I like doing this. I like hanging out with these strange people because they're like me, to actually making a living at it and taking it quite seriously. Yeah.
It's just most of hanging out with comedians is just bagging other comedians.
Yeah.
Even your friends.
They're little gossips, some of them, aren't they?
How did he get that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So for the rest of the year, Andrew, you're just going to keep plugging away, working on your show. Yeah, so
I'm building towards this festival show, which I think is going to be a lot of fun. Writing, trying new stuff out every night, and some's going, some's not. I had a great new Stephen Hawking joke. It's been killing. Bloke died a week later. So now I look like I'm making fun of him.
You have to wait a bit.
Good. Yeah. How dare he die in the middle of my
your
mic.
Triumph. Yeah. Mind you, he did live an extra 50 years beyond. I mean, that's remarkable, isn't it? That's remarkable.
Like he's one of the greatest minds since Einstein, right? And that awful body he was trapped in, like it's just the most incredible story. But like this is another thought I've just had about it. He's the perfect mind and the worst body in the world. He's the opposite of a rugby league player. Yeah, they've got brilliant bodies and Peter Marians.
That's it.
But
your show.
Yeah, so I'm just going to work hard.
Good on you.
Get better and doing gigs all around the place now, which is good.
Yep. But look out for Andrew Paskin, and that's the name you now perform under as a professional comedian, not Lester Diamond. If you look for Lester Diamond, he won't be there.
Shout me out on social media and I'll follow you back because I like interacting with people.
That's fantastic. So you'll be assured to get a warm welcome from Andrew if you follow him. Male or female, he'd very much like you to keep in touch. Well, just give you a round of applause. Yay!
Always a pleasure to see you, Sharon.
Yes. And thank you, everybody, for listening. And until next Thursday, 6 to 7 p.m. here at Radio Northern Beaches, have a happy, healthy and laughing week.